Do you know which famous rock and roll star served in the Army? Yes, it's the king of rock and roll himself, Elvis Presley. Now you might be thinking, Elvis, the hip-shaking, heart-throbbing rock and roll icon in the Army? That's right. In December 1957, Elvis received his draft notice, and the news sent shockwaves around the globe. His fans were heartbroken, but Elvis, he didn't flinch. He didn't seek special treatment or deferments, even though they were offered to him due to his celebrity status. He believed in serving his country just like any other American. And so, in March 1958, Elvis swapped his sequined jumpsuit for the Army greens. He traded the bright lights of the stage for the disciplined life of a serviceman. So there he was, the king of rock, swapping his glamorous life for the Army greens. But did you know Elvis was not just another soldier? Let's find out more. In March 1958, Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, was inducted as a private in the U.S. Army. Yes, you heard it right. This wasn't a movie role, folks. This was real life, and Elvis was swapping his blue suede shoes for Army boots. Now you'd expect that a superstar like Elvis would have had an easy ride, wouldn't you? Well, not exactly. Elvis underwent the same basic training as every other recruit at Fort Hood, Texas. He ran the drills, polished his boots, and even took part in maneuvers, just like any other soldier. Then, in the fall of 1958, Elvis was deployed to Friedberg, Germany, where he served in the 3rd Armored Division. He was far from the bright lights of Hollywood and the screaming fans, but he didn't let it dampen his spirit. In Germany, Elvis was just another soldier. He lived in standard Army barracks, not a private suite. He stood in line at the mess hall, just like everyone else. He was one among the ranks, and it was here that his fellow soldiers saw the man behind the superstar. He was a diligent, disciplined soldier who took his duties seriously. Now, you might be wondering, how did Elvis manage his celebrity status while serving? Well, he was pretty low-key about it. He didn't seek special treatment and often signed autographs and posed for photos with his fellow servicemen. His humility earned him the respect of his peers and superiors alike. And here's the kicker. Elvis wasn't just any soldier. In 1960, before his discharge, he was promoted to the rank of sergeant. Yes, our king of rock and roll had become a respected Army sergeant. He had proven that he was more than just a pretty face with a golden voice. And so our rock and roll star became a respected Army sergeant, proving that he was not just a pretty face with a golden voice. But how did this experience impact his life and career? Stay tuned as we dive into the transformative effects of Elvis's military service in our next segment. Elvis Presley's time in the Army was brief, but it left a significant impact on his life and career. Now let's delve into how Elvis's military service shaped his music, his public image, and his personal life. When we think of Elvis, we often think of his iconic rock and roll tunes, his swiveling hips, and his slick-backed hair. But his time in the Army brought about a change in his musical style. The king of rock and roll began to incorporate more gospel and blues into his repertoire, a testament to the diverse cultural influences he was exposed to during his service. His public image, too, underwent a transformation. Prior to his enlistment, Elvis was often seen as a rebellious figure, a symbol of the new, edgy rock and roll era. But his service in the Army gave him a more mature, respectable image. He was no longer just the king of rock and roll. He was now Sergeant Presley, a model of discipline and dedication. This was a change that significantly broadened his fan base and turned him into a beloved national figure. However, it wasn't all smooth sailing for Elvis during his time in the Army. His mother, Gladys, passed away while he was deployed. This was a devastating blow to Elvis, who shared a close bond with his mother. The loss deeply affected him and influenced his music, making it more introspective and soulful. On a brighter note, it was during his time in Germany while serving in the Army that Elvis met his future wife, Priscilla. Their love story began in the military barracks and blossomed into a marriage that would capture the world's attention. Upon his discharge in 1960, Elvis made a triumphant return to music. His time in the Army had enriched his music, matured his image, and shaped him into the Elvis we remember today. So there you have it, folks. Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, a true American patriot and a proud Army veteran. Thank you for your service, Elvis. Please like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell for more stories about our heroic veterans.